All right. Well, thank you very much. Lots to talk about this month. Lots going on. Lots up. Um, right. So let's just move right along. Um, so I always start with the sun, and as always, this presentation is available as a PDF on the Halifax Center um, web page, and all of the underlined links in this presentation are active on that document. So if there's anything you want to look into further, um, um, go there and have a look. Uh, so the sun has been fairly active this recent week or so, and I guess we got some pretty nice aurora the other night. People out west saw an amazing aurora. Even people in Nova Scotia saw it, and I think we saw a few pictures. So the sun continues to get more active, and hopefully there'll be more aurora in months and years to come. So the main thing to say about the sun in November is that we have um, standard time is going to be resumed tomorrow. So tonight, be prepared for that tonight or tomorrow to change your clocks. Um, and the main effect of that is that we're going to get a much earlier, it's going to get dark much earlier at night. And for a little while, it'll be lighter in the morning. Um, this is something I always look forward to, so you can get out there and get observing earlier. There isn't much change over the month. Other than that, things are slowing down, and in December, of course, we'll get to the solstice where things aren't changing hardly at all. But there really isn't that much change in the hours of darkness and sunlight. Maybe uh, an hour more darkness over the month, and an hour less sunlight. But the main thing would just be that tomorrow it'll when you get up tomorrow, I guess what we're doing, we're falling back, so it'll be a lot lighter in the morning and a lot darker at night.
David,
Yes.
just as a matter of note, we do have members in Saskatchewan, so their time does not change.
Um, okay, noted. Do we have more than one member in Saskatchewan?
Not at this point, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to keep in mind. We have this wide flung membership now. Um, Sorry about that, James. So let's head on to the moon. There's a lot going on with the moon, and some of it's already happened because it's already the 6th of November. But we had the moon and Mercury in the morning. I missed that. It was cloudy. New moon occurred on the 4th, and it's the Geptagewigus rivers freezing over time to the Mi'kmaq. And again, if you go to that page online, that link will take you to a pronunciation guide for that. And the moon was at perigee yesterday, so that means we'll be experiencing large tides today and the next couple of days. When the moon is closest to the Earth, the tidal forces are at their maximum, and especially when that coincides with a new or full moon, you kind of get those two effects working together. Um, so coming up, November 8th, I guess, is that Monday? Monday evening, if it's clear, see if you can have a look for Venus and the crescent moon. That should be very nice. They're about 5 degrees apart in the evening sky. A nice photo op if you like those kinds of photographs. As the moon gets older, it'll pass by Saturn and Jupiter in the southwest evening sky. No really close approaches, but it's a nice little parade that goes on. So if you like planetary and lunar observing, 10th to the 11th is a nice period of time. Actually, November 11th is the first quarter moon, and it's a very good time to observe the lunar X. With the I would get out as soon as the sun goes down. I would set up your telescope and have a look because it might be underway. It might not be an X, but if you like to see it develop over time, I would start looking as soon as the sun goes down, and try to watch it through the evening. On the moon carries on to go past Neptune and Uranus. And again, as I've said in the past, you have opportunities to use the moon to find those planets in your binoculars. So we've got a full moon on the the night of the 18th into the 19th, and there's a eclipse of the moon, and I'll say a bit more about that. It's technically a partial eclipse, but it's 97%, so it's going to have a pretty significant shadow on it. It's not 100%. The only downside is that it's peaks at 5 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time. I don't know what that does for our member in Saskatchewan. I guess it's earlier in the morning, so he'll be able to see that without any problem. But for us, it means getting up a bit early. And on the 27th, last quarter. And as far as observing the moon is concerned, I've just mentioned lunar X on the 11th of November. It happens to be first quarter. And so there's a few things while you're watching that eclipse. You might want to pick out a few things in the Explore the Universe program. There's a few things you can see in binoculars, and I've outlined them there. And I always promote the first quarter moon as a good time to observe. Obviously, you can observe the moon anytime you can see it, but at first quarter moon, it's conveniently placed at sunset in the early evening. It's high up in the sky in the south, and a good time, to be observing. So, and you can see quite a few features over 2 or 3 days. So if you're just getting started, that's a good time to start. If you're a keener, you can basically observe the moon anytime it's in the sky. Here's the eclipse details. I leave out the penumbral parts. The penumbral part of the eclipse is pretty boring. But you can see if you could try seeing if you could notice that. So the partial eclipse here in Atlantic time starts at 3:19. It's a maximum just after 5, and it ends at 6. The partial eclipse ends at 6:48, and then just before moonset at 7:26. So you need to have a clear view to the west, I would say, in order to see that eclipse. So if you don't have that at home, you might find a place to go and dress warmly and find a coffee shop that's open that time of night and get a hot chocolate. Hot chocolate's better than coffee for keeping warm. Anyway, it's been a while since we had a good eclipse of the moon. So, and don't forget that it's in the morning of the 19th. Don't go out at night on the 19th. A lot of people will go out on the 19th looking for an eclipse, and I keep on telling people it's in the morning. Lots going on with the planets. Mercury is low in the eastern sky at the start of November, and well, I guess we missed it. I don't know if anyone saw it pair with the waning crescent moon, but as I said, it was cloudy here, so I didn't even try. And Venus is sort of medium low and quite brilliant in the western evening sky, and the moon will be near Venus on the 8th, Monday. Mars is too close to the sun really to observe, and it's quite small as well. It must have just passed a superior conjunction, so it's kind of on the other side of the sun, not very bright, not very big. It does have a rendezvous with Mercury on the 10th in the dawn sky, but that would be very difficult to see. I think you'd need a telescope, and again, you'd have to be a keener and get up early. Again, Jupiter and Saturn are in the southwestern evening sky. You can basically go out as soon as it gets dark to look at Jupiter and Saturn. I was watching Jupiter last night and a couple nights ago. There's some interesting phenomena taking place with the moons, shadow transit, and things like that. Great red spot. Uranus is in opposition in Aries. Some people say they can see it with their naked eye in a dark sky, but very few of us live in a dark sky. So on the 17th would be a good time to look for it using the moon as a guide. And the same with Neptune. It's considerably dimmer, but with binoculars you might be able to pick out Neptune. Actually, that date is wrong. I don't know what happened there. I think it's maybe the 13th, the 13th of November. That's wrong. There are some meteor showers. However, the Taurids aren't bad. I guess we're sort of in the midst of the Taurids now, and the South Taurids and the North Taurids. They're a pretty minor meteor shower, but they are active at the moment. The Leonids are active on the 17th of November, but it's 2 days before the full moon. Nevertheless, you might see some of the brighter meteors on that night. Keep your eyes peeled. And so here's some, basically I said all this with words, but here are some pictures of the configurations of the moon and a few planets. So there's Venus and Moon on Monday night. Wednesday in the morning twilight, that difficult conjunction between Mercury and Mars. And here are the two, I got the date right on this picture, the 13th of November for Neptune, and Wednesday the 17th November. If you're looking for Neptune and Uranus, that's how to find them with the moon. And here's one. This is not in the online version of this talk. I just put this in this morning. It came to my attention that Comet Leonard is on its way. I took this picture last night while I slept, using the robotic telescope at BGO. Dave mentioned I was a frequent user. I didn't think I was the most frequent user, but I guess I could go and check that. But I have been doing it. I think I might have been the second user after him testing it. I seem to remember that happening during a General Assembly a few, 5 or 6 years ago. Anyhow, last night I took this picture. It's easy peasy to take a picture of anything. I mean, like, I think the command line for this was #request object equals whatever is C2021A1. That's it. That's all you'd have to do, and you'll get a picture. Now, I also put in repeat equals yes, because I want to get repeated pictures. Anyway, I was quite delighted this morning to see that Comet Leonard is brightening up quite a bit, and will continue to get brighter. By the way, in the picture there, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, there's a couple of little galaxies there that I hadn't expected to see. They're around 15th magnitude, and this is about, what's that, 240 seconds. What's that, 4 minutes? Yeah, 4-minute exposure. So you can actually see a little bit of motion of the comet in that period of time. So this comet is heading towards us, and it is going to reach perihelion on the January the 3rd at a distance of 0.61, so about 60% out from the sun compared to the Earth. It's in a parabolic orbit. It's as much as they can tell, so it comes from way out there. Its inclination is 132 degrees, which means it's kind of going around, if you like, the wrong way compared to the planets. Its distance is currently 1.4 astronomical units, and it will, over the next several weeks, pass from Ursa Major, oh, I spelt that wrong too, Boötes into Serpens and Hercules. The closest approach is kind of in the period of time 11th to the 13th of December, when it's only quarter of an astronomical unit away. And who knows about comet magnitudes? People are saying it might be 4.5. You never know with comets. But it should be visible in binoculars. I'm going to say it helps if you're in a dark sky. After that, it swings around the sun. It's going to be awfully hard to see. Oh, by the way, did I mention it's in the morning? You have to see it in the morning. Basically at dawn, so 6 o'clock in the morning is when you have to be looking for that. So I'd like to tell the public about it, but not very many people are interested in going comet hunting at 6 a.m. I've noticed that before. If it's in the evening, they might go look. If it's in the morning, forget it. Getting ready for work or school or something. So anyway, that's not too early, especially if you're retired. Here's a little bit of a chart. The Comet Path is kind of in the middle there. It's a bit subdued, but you can see the little crosses. And it's basically up there in Ursa Major, almost in Coma. And then it travels through Bootes into Serpens and Hercules. So that's where to look for it. And, you should be able to, maybe if you have a telescope, by all means, try for it. It looks like it goes by globular cluster Messier 3 on the 3rd of December. Is that what that's saying? Anyway, if you have something like Sky Safari, maybe Stellarium, it would give you an up-to-date position. I've got it in Sky Safari. I found this chart, so I didn't bother making one. Now, as far as the other things to look at in the sky, this is the last month I'll be talking about the autumn targets in Explore the Universe. Explore the Universe, for those that don't know, is the entry-level observing program that the RASC offers for anyone. You don't have to be a member to get a certificate of completion. So the constellations here are Pegasus, Andromeda, Cassiopeia, Perseus, and Aries. None of these constellations have really bright stars, although in a dark sky they show up fairly well. So here's the stars in Explore the Universe, and you can see the brightest one is Mirfac, which is the 35th brightest star in the sky of all the stars. The stars with N after their names are used for celestial navigation, so kind of worth noting those ones. And all of the ones named here are good for a SynScan telescope sky alignment. I'm not really sure. I'm not up on the Celestron ones, but probably most of them are used for sky aligning. So it's worthwhile learning the names of stars for that reason alone, because a lot of these telescopes say, point your telescope at Alpheratz. And then you hear people go, where the heck is Alpheratz? Well, it's worth learning some of the brighter star names for that reason alone. The Explorer of the Universe is a bit skimpy on deep sky objects. The Andromeda Galaxy is kind of the low-lying fruit. I mean, you can pick that out in the sky with your naked eye if it's dark enough. From my backyard in Dartmouth, it's a pretty pitiful sight, I would say, the galaxy, because of the light pollution. The double cluster and the stars around Mirfac and Perseus, there's a couple of clusters there that work a little. They come off a little better in binoculars in the city. I mean, they're worth looking at. In terms of double stars, Cygnus is still quite high up in the sky at this time of year, believe it or not, when it gets dark. And so 16 Cygni is considered a fall and autumn double star. Right? So easy to, because almost above. And Delta Cepheus, of course, is another double star, which is also a very important variable star. And I guess the challenge is to have a look at that. And then there's a neat a neat double star Theta Tauri in the Hyades, in the head of the bull. I was just going to say, you may have heard about my asteroid. Most of you have heard about it by this time. Anyway, nobody's mentioned it so far. I think it happened a few weeks ago, so it's old news. But I wanted you to know that after a lot of trouble, going to a lot of trouble, I got a picture of it, and here it is. People were asking me, "Can we get a picture of the asteroid?" I said, "It's tough, but I'll try." And here it is. There's my picture of the asteroid. It's by me. No robotic telescopes were used in taking this picture. Anyway, I'll just quickly remind you that I did not discover this asteroid. It was discovered in Chile in 1986 by a Belgian astronomer who's good at those kinds of things. The orbit is 2 1/3 times wider than Earth's. In between, it's a main belt asteroid between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Very well behaved. Nearly circular. As I pointed out, I've looked at the eccentricity of all the other Nova Scotian asteroids, and I think I am the least eccentric of David Lane, Dave Turner, Roy Bishop, Whitehorn, Majas. So I just wanted to point that out, that even though you think I'm kind of nuts, I am actually the least eccentric. So, and it orbits the sun every 3.5 years, roughly. And it's about 5 kilometers across, which means it would comfortably fit in Bedford Basin, although I rest assured it will never end up there. But if it did, or an asteroid that size came to Bedford Basin, it would kind of ruin your day. As far as its color is concerned, it has an albedo number. And as far as I can make out, it's the color of aged asphalt. Not fresh asphalt, but aged asphalt. And it's one of 13 asteroids with Nova Scotia connections.
So, Dave, there are a couple of comments. One from Bob Russell said, "Looks amazingly like the exoplanet Russet." And Pat Kelly says, "One of the rare starchy asteroids."
Yes, it's a starchy asteroid. Yes.
And James asked, "Does his asteroid, James Egger, count as a Nova Scotia connection?" Well, of course it does. You're a member.
Gosh, I guess there's 14 now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess we could do that.
Yeah.
Extend the hand of friendship. I guess we'll have to look around and see what others. I keep on discovering new ones. Like I didn't know about Cabot after John Cabot, the explorer, and so I keep on discovering new ones. Anyhow, that's the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions, just shoot at this point.
Okay, thank you, David.
Okay.
Any questions for David before we move on?